Here's a scenario we see more than most buyers realise. You're buying one lot in Brisbane, then another. Maybe they're next door to each other. Maybe they're from related sellers. Maybe the settlement dates are close together. Each contract looks separate, each transfer duty looks separate, but the Queensland Office of State Revenue may treat them as one transaction and assess stamp duty on the combined value. That, my friends, is called aggregate transfer duty, and it can materially change your numbers. Hint, more expensive. Guys, before we jump into this one, just want to make sure you're subscribed. Please subscribe to our YouTube to make sure you are up to date with the latest and greatest in Queensland property law. All right, so what is aggregate transfer duty in Queensland? Under Queensland law, the Office of State Revenue can aggregate transactions where the purchasers are part of a single arrangement, the buyers are related, the sellers are related, the properties are substantially one arrangement, or the transactions are connected in purpose. If the transactions are considered aggregated, transfer duty is calculated on the total combined value, not individually. Because transfer duty in Queensland is calculated on a sliding scale, the more you spend, the higher the marginal rate. That means aggregation can push you into a higher duty bracket, more money to pay. Why this matters in Queensland conveyancing. Brisbane has seen increased site assembly activity, small developers buying side-by-side homes, investors acquiring neighbouring lots, and family groups purchasing in stages. Many assume that if they sign separate contracts, they can pay separate duty. Not necessarily. If the transactions are connected, even if contracts are totally separate, aggregation can apply. This is particularly relevant for developers assembling townhouse sites, buyers acquiring corner and adjoining lots, investors purchasing neighbouring properties, or related entities buying adjacent land. Example, how aggregate duty increases costs. Let's say you buy your first lot for $800,000, then you buy next door for $800,000. If assessed separately, you can calculate the duty on $800,000 twice. But if aggregated, the duty is assessed on $1.6 million, which works out to be an extra $7,000 in transfer duty. And that's only on 2 cheap blocks of land. The difference in duty payable can be significant. For developers running tight feasibility models, that difference matters. So, when does aggregation apply? Aggregation may apply where the transactions are entered into under one arrangement, there's a common development plan, contracts are conditional upon each other, the properties are purchased within a short time frame, or there is evidence of site assembly intent. Even if different sellers are involved, contracts are signed on different days, and the settlement dates differ. The key question is whether the transactions are related. This is not just a paperwork issue, it's a factual assessment. Developers and adjacent lots, high risk area. For developers in Brisbane and broader Queensland, aggregation risk is highest when buying multiple lots for redevelopment, negotiating through agents as part of one coordinated approach, using related entities to contract, and staggering contracts to avoid higher duty. The Office of State Revenue looks at substance over form. If the intention is to acquire multiple properties as part of one development strategy, aggregation can and likely will apply. Trying to structure around it without advice can create bigger, more expensive problems. Can you avoid aggregate duty? Sometimes aggregation is unavoidable, but early legal advice can identify the risk before the contract is signed, structure negotiations appropriately, clarify whether transactions are truly independent, assess entity structuring, and model duty exposure accurately. The mistake is signing first and asking questions later. By the time contracts are unconditional, options are limited. Queensland Conveyancing and Strategic Advice. At Empire Legal, when acting on site assembly matters, developer acquisitions, multiple lot purchases, family group purchases, or adjacent lot transactions, we consider duty implications early. Because stamp duty in Queensland is not just a calculation exercise, it's part of a strategy, and it can materially affect your feasibility. The bottom line, if you're buying adjacent lots in Brisbane, assembling a development site, purchasing multiple properties in Queensland, or structuring acquisitions through related entities, aggregate transfer duty must be considered before contracts are signed, because what looks like 2 separate purchases on paper can be treated as one transaction for duty purposes, and that can materially change your numbers. In Queensland property law, structure matters, timing matters, early advice matters. Aggregate duty, guys, it is one that a lot of buyers don't know about or get wrong. Our firm specialises in Queensland property law. We can help you with this. If you're buying or selling property anywhere in Brisbane, the Gold Coast, or wider Queensland, understanding how Queensland conveyancing and property law applies to your transaction is critical. Whether you're a first home buyer, investor, or developer looking to assemble a site, making sure you get the appropriate advice is mission critical. Of course, so you can avoid costly mistakes and move cleanly towards settlement. Every contract is different and local conveyancing experience matters. What are your thoughts about this one? Please comment below. Aggregate duty, did you know about it? Give us a like, give us a follow. It really helps us out. See you guys next week. Ladies and gentlemen, please keep in mind that all advice is general in nature and does not constitute legal advice. This is authorised by George Souris Empire Legal, Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia.